In this Infinite Galaxy video, I'm going to talk about the state of the game and spin the Syracuse lucky wheel while we do it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and this video is sponsored by the makers of Infinite Galaxy. And I have been playing this game, if you can believe it, since the beginning of the year. Was it February? Since at least March? I have been playing this game for a really long time, and I'm still having a lot of fun doing it. And there's a number of things that I want to cover. I think, first of all, I want to talk about kind of where things are at right now. And I think the reason that's really important is because we know that server versus server is announced to launch potentially as early as the end of this month. And I think if it happens at the end of this month, that would be fine. My preference is that they take as long as they need to take to make it really great. As long as it's, like maybe before the end of the year, right? Like not too long, but just make sure it works really nicely, okay? We want a great experience, not a fast to deliver experience. And the thing that I think I'll talk about after I cover kind of where we're at is where I hope we're going with this game and what comes next. And we'll see what that ultimately looks like. So where are we at with the game right now? I think there are a number of things that are really fantastic. One of those things that I'm hyped about is the Galaxy Summit event when you're battling against other alliances. This I have found to be rewarding and fun and challenging and really encouraged the whole Nebula to start to think differently about the way that we're playing here. And we did a merger in order to have a stronger alliance for that. I feel like that event is fantastic. I do think that it would be nice and there's room for a competitive version of that event that is not just like, hey, everybody from your alliance can come, but instead is like a 50v50, right? We were talking about that today in Alliance chat. 50 versus 50 would be kind of cool because then it's not whoever brings more players is the winner, but whoever brings the better players and has the better strategy is the winner. Right now, numbers can solely determine like, hey, you win or you don't, which I think I would love to see it more in the direction of a heavier emphasis on strategy. But I think that the event as a whole is actually very fun. We're really enjoying it. The other aspects of the game, the PvP, is that like you don't really fight your own Nebula. That doesn't make any sense because we know that Nebula versus Nebula is around the corner. So I feel like for a war... it's almost the 10th spot. For a war-related game, I would like to have more fighting, and I feel like the Galaxy Summit has given me a taste of that. And I think that server versus server or Neb versus Neb is going to give me hopefully what I'm really looking for there. So the PvE events I think are good, and their frequency I think is fine. We've got ghost ships, fine event. We've got the rallyable, I can't remember what they're called now. Oh my gosh. They're not relics. Are they relics? You freaking rally them for a ton of resources. That's good. I like the egg, the Sanctifier Carrier event where you go and you smash that thing. I like having the event where you're defending the outposts and those are being attacked, right? Like all of those events I enjoy. I think those are a lot of fun. I think it would be kind of cool if there was a flavor of that event where your spaceport is getting attacked so that we could understand spaceport defense a little bit better and make tweaks there. But otherwise, I'm really happy with the way all of those PvE events work. And I feel like we don't particularly need more PvE-related events. The other event that we've got is the one where you kind of run in and you're choosing different abilities as you go. I think that event could use a little bit of spice. I don't know what that would be exactly. Something that would, spice it up just a little bit more. I don't know what that is, but it genuinely is starting to feel a little bit more like a kind of grind, although there's definitely optimizations and things you can learn as you make your way through that event. Ooh, claiming these rewards here. Nice. Now, on the front of flagships and warships and crew, I think there's still a lot that we're kind of learning about the way that these work together and how to do that really well. And over the course of the last, almost like 9 months now, I have really enjoyed the optimizations that the developers have made to how all of these things work. Simplifying the things that didn't need to be as complex, and adding, I think, more options to crew specifically was really fantastic. And the thing that I think I'm most excited about for all of that is the fact that the developers have always been very generous when they make a change that influences you, and you might have wanted to do something differently. They give you a way to refund or reset. They give you your, options back, and those options are always better than like you might have expected, right? So you generally are given more flexibility than you had to begin with, which I think is a really nice thing, right? So you're not punished for having invested in something and then the developers go and change it. So that, by the way, is a really big signal to me that the developers are, I'll say, an organization that I am like trusting my gaming experience to. And so far, like, I feel pretty good about being taken care of as a gamer in Infinite Galaxy, okay? So now I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about where we're headed. So I'm happy with the PvE events. A few tweaks, I think they could be more variety and excitement, but I don't think that's where their focus should be, right? And I want more PvP, but I don't think it's the Galaxy Summit. I think a competitive version of that, or making it more strategic competitive, would be kind of cool. The thing that I think really brings this game together is going to be the Nebula versus Nebula. And I don't know if the first crack at that is going to be perfect, to be honest. Like, I feel like the first run at that, they're going to launch it, and we're going to give them feedback, and they'll probably end up refining it into something that we're really hyped about. Maybe out the gates, it'll be absolutely phenomenal, but I don't know. I'm setting my expectation at, like, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be giving us some combat, which we really want. And there'll probably be some suggestions we come up with to make it really next level, right? But what am I hoping for in that? I'm hoping that potentially there are either lots of nebulas involved in a same map, which would be crazy, and all of the alliances in your nebula work together, or it's a 1v1 situation and somehow they have matched the nebulas to be even, which I think would be very hard to do. I'm hoping that in Nebula versus Nebula, we've got some rewards that are unique. So there's something at stake, something you want to win for, something that's not such an advantage that you can't ever come back from it if you lose, but something that will be like really cool to have, even if it was a freaking cosmetic, man. That was like, hey, look, my spaceport looks cool. Okay. That would be something that's like, you fight for it. And I get that, like, ideally it's more than a cosmetic. Ideally it is a crew member or a flagship or even outfitting for a flagship, right? Like something really cool that is unique would be awesome. Or if it's not unique, then that would be okay too, right? On the topic of being a reward that you have to be able to come back from if you don't win. Like, they could just give legendary outfitting, and that would also be just absolutely stupendous. I'm hoping that for Nebula versus Nebula, you're going to need lots of fleets. They'll be in different places, that the combat will be engaging and strategic, that you're fighting for territory, I think will be awesome. And I suspect, because they've been making some changes recently to flagship repairs, they've been making some changes recently, I think, to what happens to your flagships if you're reinforcing one of your allies. I think they're figuring out, like, how do we create a world where we can put a bunch of spaceports into the same map as another nebula, right? And player cities are just going to get attacked and zeroed. Like, how do we make this not suck? I feel like they've probably got some thinking to do around how to make that work and be really exciting. I feel like there's probably some stuff they need to do with the way rallies work in the game to make those meaningful, and to make them meaningful in a Neb versus Neb context, I think is going to be really important. That seems like something that would make a big difference. But I also think they should consider making it so that anyone who's on allied outpost territory, so in other words, if your city is on your alliance's outpost territory, that your city can't be attacked by an enemy. And I know to some people that sounds kind of lame, but like, look, like, you just attack the outpost, and once the outpost is burned, you can hit the cities, right? But something that makes it so that lower power players can fully participate in this thing, I think is going to be really important. Because what I would ideally like to avoid is a situation where I've got to tell my lower power players, like, hey, don't even enter the Neb versus Neb, you're going to get zeroed, right? Like, there's got to be some way to sort of make that work nicely, whether it's a safe zone, which would totally be cool. I think that if they took the map that they have now for the nebulas as they are, and they created some gating in all of the different sort of passages between zones and had a safe zone, I think that could certainly work out. And, oh, only 4 attempts left. Here we go. Guess that means it's time for me to summarize where I'm at with this. I'm hyped about the state of the game. I am excited for the potential in the future, largely because the developers have taken pretty good care of us so far, I feel. And my hope is that we've got something really fun to tackle that's challenging and engaging for the team. Because at the end of the day, like, these styles of games are very fun, but so much of it is about the community that you're playing with. And I just feel very thankful to have an awesome community to be playing with in Nebula 13. Shameless plug, you could join us. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. This is my opinion about the state of the game. Not everyone will agree. In fact, I'm sure a lot of people won't. They'll have separate ideas here. If you have any other cool ideas for what you think Nebula versus Nebula might look like, I'd like to see those down below in the comments. And if there's other things about the game where you're like, hey, Chisgule, you know what I would love to see changed or improved or whatever? Yes, I would love to see those comments as well. Until next time, you have fun smashing your nebula.